Okay, here's some work on circles. We want to graph the circle, so we want to find maybe the center of the radius. So I have to put it in standard form. Remember your standard form. We talked about these before. If the circle is centered at 0, 0, it'd be x squared plus y squared equals r squared. And if we have a center hk, it would be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So we want to get this in this standard form. So we've got a couple completing the squares to do. So first of all, I'll separate my x's. So x squared plus 2x, leave a little space, y squared minus 8y, put the 8 on the other side. Okay? And then we'll try to complete the square. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1, so I'm going to add 1 to here. But if I add 1 to the left, I've got to add 1 to the right. And then half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16, so I'm going to add 16. But if I add it to the left, I've got to add it to the right. Now we're ready to complete these squares. So we've got a nice, we complete the squares. These are nice simple trinomials or trinomial squares, excuse me. So it's be x plus 1. This is my sign. Plus y minus 4. Use these little numbers up here, squared. And 17 minus 8 is 9. So you can see your center now is going to be -1, opposite sign, and 4. And your radius, this is your radius squared, r squared equals 9. So r equals 3, so that's your radius. And then you just graph it. Get out our trusty graph paper. And you find your center, which is at -1, 4. And then your radius is at 3, so I'm going to go 3 in each direction. 1, 2, 3, up, 2, 3, back, 1, 2, 3, and down, 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to get some points here to make it kind of curved here, make sure I keep it within that. That should give you some guide points there. You do that to get some guide points. And then if you don't have a compass, if you have a compass, you can draw a real nice one. I should have got my compass out and cheated. So use a pencil so you can kind of reshape it if you foul it, which you probably will because it's not really easy to draw circles. Perfect circles. And there you go. Okay, so something like that. And there's your center, there's your radius, there's your sketch. So, not too hard. And then we have another problem where we have something like this. So I kind of wrote this out already to save a little bit of time. But this is what you want to do, is you want to write the equation for a circle. All right? Okay, if the endpoints of the diameter if you're given the endpoints of the diameter. So these are the endpoints. So first of all, in order to find the equation of the circle, we need the center. This is from our last problem. We had our center and our radius. So we can find our center, first of all, by finding the midpoint, because if we have a circle, and here's kind of the one we just did, and if we know the diameter, the endpoints of the diameter are here and here, then we know, or even here and here, we know that the center is the midpoint of the segment that contains the line, that contains the diameter. So we just want to find the midpoint of the line segment that contains these 2 points. So in order to find the midpoint, use your good old midpoint formula, which is just the average. So we add up the x's and divide by 2, add up the y's and divide by 2. So if we do that, it's pretty easy. Over here, a -7 added to -1 divided by 2, -5 added to -1 divided by 2, that's -8 divided by 2, that's -6 divided by 2, which is just -4 and -3. So now you've got your center. And you'll need that for your equation. Now you want the diameter. There's a couple ways to find the diameter. You could find the distance between the center and one of the endpoints of the diameter, or you could just find the length of diameter divided by 2. So that's what I decided to do here, but you could do either way. So we take the diameter, and the diameter, I'll just use the distance formula. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. I labeled my points x1, y1, x2, y2, and this is what I had. So when I substitute my data in, you can see that x1 is -7 and x2 is -1. So I wrote my formula in blue, then I put my data in red, and you see you got double negatives. And then y1 is -5, and then y2 is -1. So there's my data in red, and there's my formula in blue. And let me just simplify, and negative times negative is positive, so I've got -7 plus 1, -5 plus 1, so that's going to be -6 squared, and -4 squared, and that's going to be 36, plus 16, which is 52, and I take the square root of 52, and I can simplify that to be 4 times 13, so that's 2 times the square root of 13, but that's the diameter. So what's the radius? Well, the radius is the diameter divided by 2, so my radius will be just the square root of 13. Now remember the formula, it's radius squared, so we want the equation of a circle. It's going to be r squared, so it's going to be, this is my center, so it's going to be x minus, I guess I should write the standard form so you see that. So my HK, my center was going to be -4, -3, so this would be my H and my K. So x minus -4 is x plus 4, y minus -3 is y plus 3, and then my r squared, r was square root of 13, so if I square that I get 13. So there's my standard form of my circle. The center, -4, -3, and the radius was going to be the square root of 13, which is about 3.6. All right, so we did some of these problems in our textbook, so I thought this would be a good one to know. Okay? Any questions? So there's your conics on circles. Okay? And hopefully that should help. There's kind of the work we just did.